Hi, I'm Melissa, and this is the Book Break. And today we're talking to author Jason Wright about his new book, and let's just bring him right in.
Hello, hello, hello. How
Hi,
are you?
Jason. Good. So even the dog knows that this is such a, I would say a fun book. It does have some really fun stuff, but this is I call this literature. And I loved the book. I loved your narrator, but let's have you tell us, what is the book about?
Great place to start, right? The book is about a couple married for 30 plus years who have been drifting apart. And I'll just say it, I'll just give it away. In chapter one, she's going to leave him in the front yard and she's going to leave Virginia and move to Florida with her sister because it seems as though the marriage can't be saved. Well, if you fast forward now 3 years to where the rest of the book takes place, she's going to write him a letter and say, "Hey, old husband of mine to whom, I'm still married. I want you to come to Florida, bring the family dog. I want a chance to say goodbye to Moses, the family dog." And so her estranged husband is going to make a decision. Is he willing to travel 1,000 miles on a bus, on a baseball bus, um, to maybe save the family, to say some things that need to be said? And along the way, they pick up some interesting people. There's another love story that enters into the plot between a younger couple, high school sweethearts, that are also trying to see if their relationship can be saved. So it is at its core it's a complex family story. It's a road trip story, and it's a dog story.
Yeah. And I think what drew me to your story, this is kind of silly, but in the beginning was the dog, because I'm a huge dog
Mhm.
person. I love my dog, and even the dog knows. And something I loved was the voice that of the dog that you brought
Yeah.
into this. I mean, we hear the voices of, other characters, but we get to hear stuff from a dog's perspective. And so for me, that's always fun. Like whatever the story is, that's great.
Yeah,
So
and I had read a number of books through the years that have been written. Um, Generally, they're written completely from the dog's perspective,
yeah.
right? I wanted the dog to have a voice, but to not necessarily tell the entire story because that is a little bit
Mhm.
limiting. So,
Mhm.
so Moses, about every 5 or 6 chapters, tells you what he's seeing and discerning. And I think it's important for people to know he's not a cartoon character, right? He
Mm-mm.
doesn't talk. He can't solve problems. He is still a dog.
Yeah.
But I think dogs know things. They just have this gift for knowing when we need a little something extra, and they know how to give it to us.
Yeah, definitely. And I enjoyed the drama, for, lack of a better word, because I think that this sometimes there's things that happen in all of our lives. And we all deal with hard things, but I think the way that you told the story of the hard things made it so it wasn't like my heart has been ripped out, it's bleeding, I'm crying, I'm gonna die. You know, I felt the emotion and I did hold back tears a few times, but it was done in a really beautiful way that was like, this is real life, but there's always hope that just because something hard happened doesn't mean life can't still be okay. I really enjoyed that about your book.
Well, Melissa, that's one of the kindest compliments I think I have ever gotten as a writer. So I really appreciate that. Like you and like probably everyone, watching today, we've been through hard things. We know what grief and heartache and regret and resentment, forgiveness, we know what these things feel like. And one of the reasons I like fiction so much more than nonfiction, at least for me, I like creating a world that we know is imaginary, that we know is fictional, but where we can still learn real lessons. And I think the family in this book, I wanted to, I wanted them to feel real enough that while it's fictional, you think, this could have happened in my neighborhood. These could have been my neighbors or my extended family. And so I appreciate you saying that because I do want people to have an emotional experience, but one that they can learn from, not have their soul ripped out of them, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, and just like you said, this is, real stuff that we can feel like we know someone that this maybe could have happened to, or even in our
Mhm.
own lives, perhaps. Where did you get the inspiration for this story?
I have unfortunately over the last several years had a couple of different couple friends who separated after very, very long marriages. One about 30 years and another couple about 40 years. And it was heartbreaking to watch that happen. And there's probably someone watching right now who's been through this or is in the middle of it or will yet go through it. So we understand that sometimes relationships do come apart and end even after long marriages. But in the case of these couples, I saw them kind of work and try to heal from it. And I thought this could be an interesting story. How far would we be willing to go to to learn to say things that probably should have been said years ago and sort of forgive some things that should have been forgiven years
Mhm.
ago. And, if a marriage can be saved, a family can be saved.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and speaking of the family in this story, um, we'll say the son in this
Mhm.
story. I really liked, and I'm trying to say this without doing a spoiler, how he had some thoughts and feelings and maybe did some things that he did for his parents. And I think we can kind of all relate to that. I mean, I think we've all done something that maybe we didn't want to do, but we did it to make someone else happy. I think as a parent, that made me think, well, geez, what are my kids doing
Mhm.
that maybe they're doing it just to make me happy, but it doesn't always make them happy? Was there something that sparked you wanting to put that kind of a plot point in the story?
Yeah, what a great question, Melissa. I think I do think about my own one of my children, my son, years ago, and I still have this video. He is standing in front of his third grade class in elementary school. He's now 18, so this has been a long time.
Yeah.
And they go down the line and they ask what they want to be when they grow up. And he says, I want to be a writer. And he'd said he wanted to live with his best friend at the time in the mountains and they were going to write books together. And I remember just being filled with pride. And I was in the back of the room for this and thinking, that's so great. My kid wants to be a writer. And he kind of continued that for a few years. And then, it became pretty obvious when he became a little older, the boy doesn't want to be a writer. He doesn't even like reading, for Pete's sake. And me saying to him, bud, it is okay that this is not your thing. It's all right. Now his sisters, they're very different. They do like to write. His younger brother he's younger, but he appears to like telling stories and writing. So I think parents need to encourage their kids, of course, to follow their dreams and passions and then to be okay when their kids change their minds, because that's a part of life, right? We try a lot of different things until we see where our heart fits.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that principle is even bigger than that because, I am thinking of my own life, my own career, and I have changed my mind a couple of
Mhm.
times about what I wanted to do. Um, and and thankfully, like I have a spouse that's supporting me in what I'm doing, but I think sometimes we make sacrifices for just people we love in general, whether it's our family or our friends or being supportive of people. I think that's a really good principle. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think you make an excellent point. It's okay to change your mind as an adult. I have not been a writer my entire adult life. I've been in politics. I've been in small business. I was the Easter Bunny at the mall, for Pete's sake, with the big
Nice.
hat and the white furry costume that smelled like beef jerky. So I've done a little bit of everything until I, landed here. And so good for you for, following your passions. And you might yet change your mind again in 5 or 10 years. Who knows? That's the
Yeah.
beauty of life. We're allowed to change our minds.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I loved even the dog nose. I want to just show the cover again.
Oh,
And
thank you.
encourage you guys, go check this book out. Go to your local bookstore or order it online. It's available pretty much everywhere. Where can our viewers go to learn more about you, Jason?
You can go to my website, jasonfwright.com. Lots of information on social media, Instagram and Facebook. I think you're putting up those. Thank you so much. I'm very easy to find. If all else fails, go to your favorite search engine and type in Jason Wright, author, and I probably pop right up. You can find the book at Amazon, ebook, Audible, whatever, however you like to buy books, even your good old fashioned bookstore. Remember those? An actual bookstore. You can even buy the book there.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Jason.
Thank you. A pleasure.
And thank you to our viewers. We'll see you next time.